Right, I just want to get something off my chest before we do indeed start this episode of Ups and Downs, where we go through the show known as Raw, and we give the good bits an up, and we give the bad bits a down. And that is, I just want WWE to stop breaking up teams when there's no need to break up the teams. Take Rusev Day, for example. Rusev Day were ticking along fine, then they imploded, and now Aiden English has just been reduced to 205 Live. Not that it's a bad thing, but they were smashing it on SmackDown, and also, after watching this episode of Raw, no Titus O'Neil, Dana Brooke in one of the worst segments I've ever seen ever, and Apollo Crews just talking nonsense, we could have just kept them in Titus Worldwide, and at least they would have something. Right, that's done. I push it to one side. We don't need to worry about it anymore, but thank you very much for tuning in. This is What Culture Wrestling. I've already told you what the show is. My name is Simon Miller. Let's up those Raw Downs. Raw kicked off with Stephanie McMahon in the ring. No entrance, no palaver. She was just waiting there and she wanted Becky Lynch to come out. Becky Lynch did indeed do so. And yeah, she is now Stone Cold Steve Austin. Not only is she wearing a knee brace, but she's sharing the ring with a McMahon. Give it an up. Had some recaps about what's happened over the last few weeks as McMahon continually told us that Becky Lynch has heart. I mean, honestly, she said it so much. At one point, I think she was actually referring to the organ that lives in Becky Lynch's chest. Yes, we get it, Stephanie. Becky Lynch has heart and also, more than likely, has a heart because she's a human being. It soon transpired that the reason Steph was here was to tell Becky Lynch, you don't want to get medical clearance, you don't even want to see the doctors, and if you don't do that, I won't allow you to compete. That pissed off the Royal Rumble winner, who went off on Stephanie McMahon saying stuff like, you don't understand my struggles, you just a daddy's girl, full of riches ever since you were born. All seems a little bit unfair to Linda, but Becky also reiterated that Stephanie probably sees her as a glitch in the system. She was never make it to this spot, and now she is there, everybody's panicking, and I like that, because really, it's true, and when you can take some reality and inject it into the storyline, we as fans all put smiles on our faces and go, ha 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 ha, I can enjoy it. Lynch continually said that she wasn't going to acquiesce to this demand, so Steph said, all right, fine, I tried, but if you're not, I have no choice but to suspend you indefinitely. And do you know what the Royal Rumble winner did when she heard that? Smacked Stephanie McMahon straight in the face. There wasn't even really that much of a build-up. As soon as Becky heard that, she just went off on her, and even when referees were down there, she was still throwing haymakers, but of course, storytelling, that leg, meant she couldn't do what she wanted, and she had to eventually calm down before limping out of the arena. Now, this was great, and fans are never going to be upset about seeing Steph get hers, given all the stuff she's done over the years. But I do want to say this, just a little point. It wasn't like the most explosive situation we probably could have created. Really, McMahon was just looking out for her talent and kinda was being nice. I could have actually used some nastiness from Steph here so that when Becky did whack her, it felt totally justified. But that's me pulling at straws. Who pulls at straws? Doesn't make any sense. Just put it in your mouth and drink your damn water. And overall, this felt like a main event angle, which is meant to. It continued too because as Becky was being escorted out of there, she bumped into Ronda Rousey. Now, yes, Ronda sounded a bit like a robot here, including talking about violin recitals. I have no idea what that was about, but when she has that crazed look on her face, it almost doesn't matter what she's saying, because you think at any time she may actually just lash out. Because she's legit, there's always an aura of badassery about her. She was also mad at Becky because now their WrestleMania main event has been put in jeopardy. Ooh, delally. Somebody pick up a phone and call Charlotte Flair, but not yet, because that all then transitioned into Rousey versus Liv Morgan of all people, and that is a strange pairing. And as soon as it started, I was just like, WWE, just let Ronda kick the absolute gubbins out of Liv Morgan, make Ronda Rousey look as strong as you possibly can. That's exactly what happened. Morgan kept trying to get out the way, but as soon as the women's champion had her hands on her, she locked in the armbar, and Morgan tapped out quicker than you can say Zack Ryder's push. It's also important to note that Ronda was getting booed quite heavily here, so snatched a microphone out of nowhere, but did sound a little bit like somebody who had woken up drunk and had started to yell at the person delivering their mail because they thought they were trying to break in. It was a little bit strange. Rousey just threatened absolutely everybody though, and when Sarah Logan stepped up, Ronda made her tap out too, and yeah, you can argue that we've just taken 2/3 of the Riot Squad and jobbed them out, but I don't agree. Ronda Rousey needs to be the best Ronda Rousey she can be when we get to WrestleMania 35, and the best way to do that is have her just annihilate anyone who even dares look her in the eye. Ruby Riott teased getting in the ring as well, but she wanted absolutely nothing to do with crazy Ronda's annihilation wagon, and I thought all of this went very, very quickly and continued to build something I'm actually invested in. It also seems like that at one of the two pay-per-views before WrestleMania, we are going to do Ruby Riott versus Ronda Rousey, because Riott was all mad at Ronda after this in the back, and that's alright. We got to do something before the Showcase of Immortals. Why not do that? We then saw the Boss and Hug connection, which is officially the worst name of any tag team in history, talk about their match with Nikki Cross and Alicia Fox that's going to go on later. The winner heading on to the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view to try and win those tag team championships. Now that's got to get down, because over on SmackDown, there is no qualification matches and people are just entering, but over here, people like Sasha Banks and Bayley have now had to have two. Ridiculous. Cross and Fox then interrupted, and Nikki let us know she's teamed up with Alicia because thankfully Alicia agreed to play with Nikki. Heavy Machinery were out next, and damn it, WWE, you did it. As soon as I know they were going to feature, I put a smile on my face and I gave this an up. But as for the match, I'm still going to be that guy that gets it down. It was a four corners match, which also involved the B Team, the Revival, and Lucha House Party, and the Revival won after hitting the Shatter Machine on Bo Dallas. And you can point out that yes, Heavy Machinery actually did have this match won until Curtis Axel saved his partner, until he didn't save them the next time, and let Dash and Dawson beat them. But again, why are we doing this? Why have Heavy Machinery been called up to the main roster to win one match a couple of weeks ago and then lose subsequent matches? I know that they get pinned, and I know they get submitted, but they ain't getting any W's, are they? And I'm not saying that the Revival don't deserve it, they absolutely do, but I've seen Chad Gable and Bobby Roode go against them over and over, and we're not really adding any new layers to the narrative. You can't just do that time and time again, and if you think you can, why even bother changing up the card to begin with? You may as well do the same matches each and every week, which yes, sometimes we actually do. Fun point though, the Revival had FTR on their ring gear. The mystery continues. We did have a lovely moment between Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder though, getting it up. Hawkins was despondent because once again he'd lost 7 days ago, which continued his 2-year plus losing streak, and Zack Ryder was trying to cheer him up and also point out, look man, it's not just you. Last week on the show, in the graphic that pops up when we make our entrance, somebody had spelled my name wrong. Now, I don't know if that's true, I haven't gone back to check, but if it is, and WWE meant to do it and it was intentional, and now it's tying into the story a week later, that is awesome. I like it. Zack promised they would break the curse together, and you'll have to call me a sentimental asshole, because I enjoy seeing these two interact on screen. So there. It was the Kurt Angle segment next that WWE had been promoting quite heavily before Raw, and even though he had lost to Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre, if you had told me all this was going to tie in to everything going on with those two and Braun Strowman, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have been wrong, and this is getting it down. The main reason is, I just don't care about any of this. Braun Strowman feels utterly directionless at the moment, and going back to anything between Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre feels as if we turned the clock back to the end of 2018, and we all remember how we felt then. Everybody was mad. Anyway, the tease here was that Angle was going to retire. He used to live his life by the 3 I's, but now he's been struck down by the 3 D's: defeat, depression, and doubt. Before he could get any further, Corbin and McIntyre did interrupt him and said, look Kurt, if you ain't just gonna walk away, we're gonna beat you up so badly that you'll have no choice. And imagine that in any other sport, like you're playing American football and you're thinking about retiring, you're not sure, and then someone else, like a linebacker, comes up and says, what I'm doing is I'm just going to smash you in the head with this brick, and then you're going to be so injured that you don't have a choice. Just as they were about to launch themselves into this assault though, Braun Strowman did arrive. He threw a chair in Baron Corbin's face, which allowed Kurt Angle to get some licks in, and guess what it all led to? If you're thinking surely a main event between these two teams, you'd be absolutely right. How nuts is that too? And don't worry, we'll get there. Of course, we will get there. In one of those weird wrestling scenarios afterwards as well, Michael Cole wouldn't shut up that now we're never gonna know if Kurt Angle was actually going to retire, because of course, unless they actually say it in the ring, you're never gonna find out the truth. It's like when you have some kind of fracas between two wrestlers and they will wait a whole 7 days until the next episode of their TV show and go, can you come out here right now, please? And let me know what was going on. Why didn't you just ask them when you got backstage? And up for the Seth Rollins Brock Lesnar video package though, it just ran down everything that happened put over huge that Seth Rollins got his ass whipped by the Beast last week. And what's he gonna do come WrestleMania 35? This was fun to watch. Sasha Banks and Bayley then defeated Nikki Cross and Alicia Fox. And yes, while I do feel the same about Cross as I do about the other NXT call-ups, at least here it was for the greater good in the sense that Bayley rolled up Alicia Fox and got the 1, 2, 3. Now Sasha and Bayley can go on to the Elimination Chamber, hopefully become the first ever women's tag team champions, cement this connection, that's actually what they're called, and we can just draw a line under it. Give it an up. A truly bizarre backstage bit with Apollo Crews followed this. He was being interviewed and got asked, for reasons I'll never understand, if he was surprised that Angle was going to compete tonight. And yes, Apollo was surprised because he didn't see it on the cards, but also pointed out it's Kurt Angle. He's allowed to have a couple of bad matches without everybody jumping down his throat. Then Razor from the AOP and Drake Maverick approached him and said, Apollo, you don't know what you're talking about. Kurt Angle, your hero, is gonna lose. What was this? What is going on? Why do I give two hoots about what Apollo Crews and Drake Maverick and Razor from the AOP think about Kurt Angle's match? Also, where the hell have the AOP been? This was honestly like a bit that nobody known had been recorded and only realised when it aired live. Someone was like, what is that? That's not meant to be part of the show. Well, it started now, so we've got to finish it. Because life is just so strange, we then did get Elias taking on Jeff Jarrett with the Road Dogg in his corner. And cast your minds back to when the McMahons came out on Raw and said, change is coming, people, change is coming. What would you do if I had told you, I'll tell you what some of the change is going to be. It's going to be the return of Jeff Jarrett. You would have punched me in the face. I would have thought I was hallucinating because I ate some dodgy chicken. But here we are in February 2019, and that's exactly what we got. But look though, it is dumb, but it's also fun. Nostalgia is a powerful tool, especially if you loved Jeff Jarrett back in the day, and Elias won. When you throw that all in the pot, getting up. It was just a match at the end of the day, with the big question being why Elias has just magically turned heel again. And we got no justification for that. He just one day thought, I fancy insulting the fans again. I think I'll start right now. Just give me any kind of story. I don't care what it is, but at least the Drifter did have one good line when he turned his attention to Road Dogg and said, shouldn't you be on SmackDown tanking the ratings? Now look, WWE, you shouldn't actually be talking about the struggles you are having with numbers in that regard, but because I am a wrestling nerd, I always get a kick out of inside the lines. Anyway, Elias did win with the drift away, tried to beat up the Road Dogg. Jeff Jarrett didn't like that. Went to hit Elias with his guitar. The guitar didn't break because that's live TV. And that was that. Or was it? Because you'd have to figure, given that Jarrett did hit him with a musical instrument, this feud has to continue. And that may be a little bit too much. I think we could stop it here. But as always, hashtag wait and see. An absolutely awful bit with Natalya and Dana Brooke now that we did mention at the very opening of the show. Because Natalya was here, she was sat down, she was packing some kind of suitcase, and Dana Brooke appeared and was all like, Natty, I'm really sorry about what happened last week. I think we should come back together and try and be a good team. And when Natalya didn't say anything to her, Dana Brooke blew a gasket and went, fine, if you're going to ignore me, I'm going to find a McMahon and we're going to have a match next week. You coward Dana Brooke, why didn't you do it tonight? As it turned out though, Natty hadn't heard any of that because she had earbuds in. Earbuds, that was 5 minutes of my life, WWE. What am I meant to do when I'm on my deathbed going through my memories and remember that 5 minutes of my life was spent watching this rubbish? A down, and me on my deathbed down, a DB down. Finn Balor versus Lio Rush was better though. Actually, it was damn good. Up. Obviously, it was meant to be Finn versus Lashley, but Bobby had decided, given that Finn Balor couldn't beat Brock Lesnar a couple of weeks ago, and that Lashley himself is better than Brock Lesnar, Finn Balor doesn't deserve a shot against him, so instead, can take on Lio Rush. The cool thing with this is that if you haven't actually seen Rush do his thing on 205 Live or in the Indies before that, he's really good and he flies around the ring like a damn airplane. Lashley kept getting involved and at one point just pulled Finn Balor out the ring right in front of the referee's eyes, and that got Bobby Lashley banned from ringside. But why on earth wasn't it a DQ? Usually I'd let that slide, but we got another match later on where these two ideas are gonna come clashing together. So remember that, put it in your brain. It wasn't enough to screw Finn though, because eventually he did hit the coup de grace on Lio Rush, and that was it. He pinned him 1, 2, 3. And it was just a really nice little scrap. The real question is, what is the long-term plan for everybody involved in this? It kind of feels like we're going week to week. But look, it helped me get through a 3-episode of Raw. I ain't gonna be mad at it. Paige then popped up to promote her Fighting with the Family movie that's coming out in around about a month's time. That's all I've got. You can go watch the review if you'd like right now here on WhatCulture Wrestling. I've seen it. It Right. A moment of bliss followed, and it was the equivalent of taking a bunch of drugs and then trying to do maths. But, damn it, if it wasn't quite the joy, and it's gonna get enough. It started with Alexa Bliss bringing out EC3, who still isn't allowed to speak. Now that's twice as dumb, because in his own entrance music, he says his name, and also a mute gimmick. A mute gimmick is never going to work. He was interrupted by Nia Jax and Tamina, the latter of who always seems unsure if she's left the oven on or not, and Nia just wanted to talk about all her accolades she's achieved over the last couple of weeks. And also, yeah, Nia did that whole thing before she came out, although this time, because she is actually getting better as a heel, she's improved. So she went on about getting in the men's Raw Rumble, the fact that she has now qualified with her best pal to get in that Elimination Chamber pay-per-view tag team match, and then she got interrupted by Dean Ambrose. And I don't know what I was meant to take away from this, but Ambrose did indeed get in EC3's personal space, and he just came across like a total face, and yes, that did rhyme. I mean, he was an asshole, but his jabs about where the hell are EC1 and EC2, and the fact that EC3 looks like a Creed fan were really funny, and that translated live to the crowd who were there. They were laughing along too. He also wanted to know why EC3 just hung around backstage like a silent Chippendale and turned his attention to Nia Jax. Said, look Nia, I know you got a crush on me, but never come near me again. So I guess that's the end of that. From nowhere, EC3 then just punched Dean in the nose. That led to a match. And hot damn if the new call-up didn't get the win. And if you were unsure if Dean Ambrose is leaving after WrestleMania 35, well, I think he probably is. Still though, this was a well-done angle. EC3 won with a jackknife pin, which means it was kind of like a surprise, and Dean sold it like he'd seen a ghost. You look, it all ties in. All of a sudden, I'm interested in EC3 because he just beat a former WWE champion, which was also cemented by the commentators giving me that information. This was fire. Kurt Angle then cut a backstage promo, which we didn't need because we already had all the details pertaining to his main event match, and it only got worse when Braun Strowman arrived and Angle and Strowman did the whole "it's true, it's damn true" catchphrase together. It was so embarrassing that even I, who was watching it on TV, also wanted the ground to just open up and swallow me so I could get rid of this cringe fest. Didn't get it, didn't see the need for it, didn't like the joint catchphrase. Down. Mojo Rawley doing another yell at yourself in the mirror bit though. That's going to get an up because he does do this very well, and if we actually allow it to go somewhere, we may have something. We just may. Again, up. Main event time, and well, if we're being honest, I don't think if Raw was 3 hours long, this would ever be put in this position. Don't get me wrong, the match was good, the match was entertaining, but that finish, oh, what a way to end. Down. It all goes back to the issue that I don't really want to see these four feuding with each other, and also the confusion when it did come to the end of the match, because Braun Strowman was being told by the referee, don't you lay your hands on Baron Corbin, he ain't the legal man, and if you do, I'm going to disqualify you. Obviously, the monster among men doesn't care about that. He slammed Baron right in his jaw, and that meant Braun Strowman and Kurt Angle got the DQ, even though around about 20 minutes earlier, Bobby Lashley is just attacking people in his match and no one gives two craps. It also hasn't happened in any single WWE tag team match in recent memory. And yeah, eventually the faces got the upper hand, so it was nice. Raw went off air with Braun being like, woohoo, and Kurt being like, yeah, you know, I'm not on the shelf just yet. And I guess we're going to get this at pay-per-view, probably with Kurt Angle stepping in for Seth Rollins, who apparently is injured, so he's just taking his space. All I got is meh. I mean, it went bad, but meh. And it does kind of feel like we've fallen back into that middle ground as we do try and get to the Elimination Chamber, but we've also got to remind everybody that WrestleMania is on the card. So an okay episode of Raw, but hopefully not the best we'll see before we do indeed get to the first week of April. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of Raw. You know how it goes. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, then walk over to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles, then you go back over here, walk over here, follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE, and while you are here on the YouTube channel, go and watch some other videos. There's lists, there's everything. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you very much for watching Ups and Downs, and set your clocks for tomorrow at 2 p.m. GMT, where we up those downs for Smackdown. What was that?